You got the touch. You got the power. Welcome back to StillerBros at the Movies, where today we are going to be covering a franchise, yet another franchise that we are kind of mixed on.
Today we are seeing Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
So the Transformers movies are have gone from meh blah to a mixed bag, huh?
Yeah.
What?
We started with the 2007 version, which we really, really liked when we saw it.
We haven't rewatched it in a few years, so who knows if it holds up.
Revenge of the Fallen, which we saw in 2009, we liked it. Although the best thing we can say about it now is that our grandpa was somehow able to sleep through it in the theater.
The Transformers Dark of the Moon was the moon. We saw that at a midnight screening with our friends. I just want to tell you guys that I read what was purported to be a script for Transformers 3. That, believe it or not, was way worse than Dark of the Moon. There was like time travel and exposition and weird dialogue choices.
It really read like fan fiction. And then we had Transformers: Age of Extinction,
which was the movie that was so monumentally bad that we gave up on the Transformers franchise. We completely missed The Last Night. We still have, to this day, have not watched The Last Night.
And
thank God.
Yeah, but then we saw Bumblebee, and it changed our entire perspective of the Transformers movies, mostly because it shows that when you have an actual director who actually gives a crap about the franchise, it is actually, this franchise can actually be good. No real offense to Michael Bay, but you can tell he was not really into this franchise by the time he was leaving.
We're not going to be like the 20th guys on YouTube to shit on Michael Bay, or like the 15th guys to reevaluate Michael Bay as a director. When he's good, and when he's bad, he's just awful. But the big thing about Bumblebee was that you could tell that the people making that movie actually had passion instead of finding new and creative ways to turn the explosions into what was effectively cinema.
Now, this time around, we have a brand new director taking the role, Stephen Caple Jr., who is primarily known in the big leagues for directing Creed 2.
And the heroes of this particular story are going to be a hodgepodge of different characters from throughout the Transformers mythos, but mostly the Beast Wars saga. Now, Do we know anything about Beast Wars? No.
Nope.
Not even a little. We know a couple names. We know there's like Maximals and stuff and Predacons and stuff like that, but we don't really. That's not our Transformers thing.
No, it's not our Transformers thing. We maybe watched. Well, I vaguely remember watching one episode at one point, but we weren't really paying attention to TV at that time.
But the Beast Wars characters are coming into this, but we're more excited about that because of the fact that the characters are all voiced by some of the best actors they could probably get for the parts.
We have, of course, Peter Cullen coming back, but we also have Pete Davidson, Peter Dinklage, Michelle Yeoh, and of course Ron freaking Perlman playing Transformers this time around.
And playing the human characters, we have got, well, at least one of the human characters, we've got Anthony Ramos from In the Heights a couple of years ago.
Yes, he's kind of been having his little run of stuff. His next project is, at least the next project he has in the can, is Ironheart, which will eventually happen once Marvel gets their whole TV schedule together.
We put together, back in our In the Heights video, we actually said that Anthony Ramos was probably going to be a big star afterwards. The going's a little slower than we thought it would, but you know what?
Then again, we probably thought In the Heights was going to be a bigger hit than it was, but it was 2021 and we didn't really anticipate the idea of how long movie theaters were going to be. We're going to take before they actually came back.
But here we are. It's 2023 and we are still going to the movies, and there are still movies coming out. And Transformers: The Rise of the Beasts, is that it?
I believe so.
cool. This Transformers: The Rise of the Beasts is going to be an interesting experience for us because it's like, once again, Age of Extinction kind of killed the brand for us for a little while. But now here we are on the other side of Bumblebee, after having heard that one was amazing and seeing it and agreeing that it was amazing, but everybody else, but a lot of other people didn't seem to watch it, didn't seem to see it, to the point that we keep saying, Bumblebee is good, guys. You can go ahead and watch that one. That one's actually pretty good.
Yeah, our friend finally saw it a couple weeks ago, and he was telling us how much he really liked it. And the big thing is, this one is a sequel to Bumblebee.
Well, kind of.
Kind of.
It's not technically a sequel to any Transformers movie. Bumblebee, at the point that it came out, was a kind of, is this a prequel to the Michael Bay movies, or is this a sequel? Or is this a complete reboot, and we're just taking certain homages to the Michael Bay movies for consistency's sake? Now, of course, then the whole thing kind of blew. Then Bumblebee kind of became successful enough that they were like, okay, reboot. Though, of course, Michael Bay's name is still on the movie.
Yeah, Michael Bay is still on as a producer, but the fact that this movie takes place in the 90s, whereas Bumblebee took place in the 80s, so this is probably more a follow-up to Bumblebee than a prequel to the other movies in the franchise.
Though of course that 10-year difference means that this probably isn't going to be our second movie in a row to include Haley Steinfeld somewhere in it, but
no,
maybe. But we don't know that yet.
No, we don't know yet, but we never know. We're going in kind of blind on this one. But at the same time, it's kind of weird to think about the movie timeline, because from what we know about The Last Night is it kind of got post-apocalyptic-y at the end.
Look, we've never seen The Last Night, and at this point I don't want to, because I've heard so many awful things, about ridiculous, over-the-top, stupid things about that movie that you'd think would be hilarious and over-the-top, but Michael Bay obviously is not playing them for over-the-top action.
Yeah, no, he's not the kind of person who would make the cheese that level.
Michael Bay would never make a Fast and Furious movie that would actually be on the level of most of the better Fast and Furious movies.
No, Michael Bay is not that kind of director. That's not the strength. That is not his strength. So
I mean, but then again, this is also the guy who thought, hey, let's have Rainn Wilson play a kind of dated college professor who might just raise a lot of questions about consent and power dynamics if you're watching it today.
And let's also give Devastator big wrecking ball testicles.
But that tight shirt joke was funny, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah, kind of.
The writer's strike can't end fast enough, is what I'm saying.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyway, I think we've gone on long enough. I think we'll just kind of see what happens after the jump.
Yep.
Oh, that ending.
Yeah, that ending was,
So, without getting into spoilers, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah.
It's,
this is gonna get interesting, people.
If this movie does well enough, I think we're gonna see a lot of cool new stuff.
Yeah.
But, let's actually talk about the rest of the movie, because, it's pretty good.
I mean, it's not in the realm of Bumblebee, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, the entire time I was like, okay, this is fine, but I'm not liking it more than Bumblebee. Then the big final fight kicked in, and there was this big thing that happened in it that I'm just like, okay, I'm digging this, but mostly because deep down, I'm still 7 years old.
Yeah.
But it's just a really good Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Which when it comes down to it, we don't have a lot of those, but now we've got some, and this is definitely one.
Yeah. So let's get into it a little deeper. Stephen Campbell Jr. does a pretty hell of a good job working on the Transformer stuff. You kind of get the feeling that he's having a lot of fun, basically banging a couple action figures together for the fight scenes. He clearly is a fan of this stuff, and he clearly loves and of getting to dive into this universe.
Honestly, one of the big things is we haven't seen Creed 2 yet, so we don't know how he handled the boxing sequences and that, so we don't know how that blended into this working with him as an action director. But we know but we did see this, and while there were a few scenes where I can honestly say I'm like, this is just like two CGI blobs bumping into each other. I have no clue which one is which. Otherwise, but for the most part, the action sequences are pretty well maintained.
Yeah, we got some pretty good stuff going on with like Anthony Ramos and everything. I feel like the story is very thin in a lot of places.
At a certain point, I came to the realization in the theater that this is basically Revenge of the Fallen if it was better.
There's a lot.
If it was good, I'm just gonna say it.
A lot of what drives the movie is the characters, which is very good, but the movie works on a lot of. It works on a very fast pace, so it feels like. So there's points where it feels like the movie is running a lot faster than you would probably think of, but it's also not dragging along either.
And a lot of it is the focus on the heroes. There's not a lot of focus on the villains, mostly because it's Transformers. The villains aren't deep or anything like that. They're all just bad guys because they're bad guys.
Yeah.
And of course, there's all the fun of things like the celebrity voice cast doing all kinds of weird stuff. Like Pete Davidson is doing his usual thing of being like white boy hip hop slang and stuff like that. But then you got Michelle Yeoh talking about Maximals and Predacons and stuff like that, and Terrorcons and stuff like that. And you just kind of smile a little bit because it's like, you just won an Oscar, and you're saying stuff like this with it completely straight.
Yeah, and then of course you have the badass awesomeness that is Ron Perlman and Peter Cullen carrying out a conversation, having an epic voice-off.
Yeah, Ron Perlman is the man if you have not gotten that at all from anything that you have seen from him. And Peter Cullen, after seeing that ad that's been on like every YouTube video that I've watched for like the last week, I'm just convinced that he needs to keep doing Optimus Prime for as long as he's willing and able to.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Peter Cullen is the man. He is the myth. He is a living legend in voice acting if there ever was one.
And the fact that he's the one they keep calling for Optimus Prime is just an example of how he's nearly impossible to replace. We'll see how possible he is to replace when they do the fully animated Transformers movie coming up in a few years.
Yeah, we got Transformers 1 coming out with Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry and a lot more, but right now we've gotten Peter Cullen and we've gotten Michelle Yeoh and Peter Dinklage. Dinklage actually did a pretty good, solid job for the most part, even if near the end it was kind of hard to hear the Dinklage in the character.
Well, at first it was interesting because it felt like because the animation on his character Scourge kind of felt like he had a bit of swagger to him as he was first coming into the scene where he was revealed, and then and at a certain point, it just kind of felt like, okay, Peter Dinklage is having at least a little bit of fun here. He's cashing a paycheck, but he's understanding of the fact that his only job is get in, sound vicious, and then get out.
Yeah.
Dinklage doesn't get enough credit for how decently he plays villains.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
He's done some pretty good villain work. He's done even in frickin' Underdog, he was a pretty good villain. And of course there is Anthony Ramos as the relatable everyman character that every Transformers movie needs, and near the end he gets to get way more into the action than most other Transformers protagonists have without having to be magically on Night of the Round Table because he just hasn't slept with anyone since his wife died. Yeah, just accidental celibacy makes you worthy of pulling a sword out of a stone, I guess.
Seriously, that movie, I don't know if that movie sucks because all I've done is hear stuff from it, but god damn it, you could have just made a better movie.
Yeah.
And also, I gotta hand it to Joby Harold. He seems to be decent enough at writing scripts like this that he turned in another decent one.
He of course worked his last big project was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now here's this where he wrote the story and was a co-screenwriter.
And like I said, there's nothing, like we were saying, there's nothing magical about this script. It's not like they suddenly found a way to break the mold on Transformers so far. Bumblebee is probably still the best of the live-action Transformers movies, but the fact that this movie just kind of allows itself to exist the way it does, and it doesn't push too much of that Michael Bay style racial humor, or that Michael Bay style explosion, or that Michael Bay style let's shoot the female protagonist as if we're doing a Victoria's Secret cover shoot. Which, look, Michael, I know that's where you got your start, but you gotta learn to shoot women in a different angle.
Yeah, but ultimately, this does have its own identity outside of the Michael Bay franchise, as well as outside of Bumblebee, because obviously Bumblebee was a different film, and now this is again a different kind of film.
Though, of course, this does officially tie in that this is a follow-up to Bumblebee storyline-wise.
Yes, they do have a brief mention that Bumblebee met up with a human at one point in the near past.
So we have confirmation that no matter what the timeline is on this, Bumblebee did happen. But then again, we're also kind of scrapping a lot of the other stuff because I can't say, because this is the biggest spoiler in the movie for me to say it.
Yeah, other than the fact that if I remember correctly, Unicron was in last night.
Yes. So, and it completely contradicts that. So, hey, look, Unicron is the big bad of this one, and the last night no longer exists. Hooray!
Yeah. Also, real quick, just in terms of character design, we do actually have a lot of the Autobots and Decepticons and all of the Cybertronian characters actually look like they came from the vehicles that they turned into.
Even better, they actually look like humanoid robots and not just lumps of robot parts.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see them actually look like that, and also for their personalities to not just be, well, this one's a samurai, so he's a samurai,
or this one's John Goodman with a big smokestack cigar R.
And I mean, they're still kind of stock stereotypes, but the opposite. But there's no point where the Pete Davidson one says something like, "What's up, little homies? This looks like a good place to kick it," and then thankfully gets ripped in half. Why couldn't the twins have gotten ripped in half?
I don't know.
But oh wait, they were. But Transformers: Rise of the Beasts is another step in the right direction for Transformers. It's a slight step backwards, but I think it's still a step up. Like Age of Extinction, one of Age of Extinction's biggest problems was naming the movie Age of Extinction and then waiting until the last 20 minutes to show us the dinosaurs.
When we were in a 2-hour and 45-minute movie.
Dear God, Michael Bay. And at no point was I looking at my watch while watching this movie and being like, I have got work in the morning, dude. Can we get to the end of this? At no point did this feel like a typical Transformer. I don't think I saw a single product placement in this entire movie.
No, at least not one that was outright out there, but...
there's no scene where Anthony Ramos is, busting open a Bud Light while telling a dude off. If there's product placement in this movie, it's subtle as hell, and that's a good thing. Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, this is a pretty okay Transformers movie, all things considered.
I mean, does it break the mold? Not really, but it's decent, and if there's any more where this came from, I look forward to it, because this is going in a really interesting direction, and I humbly await what happens next.
Yep.
So, that's it for right now, guys. Don't forget to like this video, share it, comment what you thought of Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Don't forget to tune in next time when two worlds collide. I think so.
I guess so.
All right. Bye.
Bye.